Hello, everybody. Nice to see that there are so many people interested in the home automation. So today in the talk, I want to discuss with you a bit about how you can automate your home, or at least what questions you should ask just before starting the entire process. But also, I want to go a bit through a few concerns on things that you should keep in mind just before going with it. So, how many times did this happen to you? So, leaving your home and keep asking yourself, did I turn off the hair straightener? Did I turn off my lights? Did I turn off, I don't know, the coffee machine or whatever it was? So, funny story. It happened to me once. I was planning to go on a trip, and it was probably a few hundreds kilometers away. And I have in my bathroom a mirror with a heating system. So that system did not shut down itself after a while, so it would continue hit the mirror in that time. So after 30 kilometers of driving, I just thought about it. Did I turn it off? So I really got panicked. And oh, well, I had to drive back 30 kilometers again. Well, I arrived home, and you usually expect, as you know, it happens all the time, that with when you are, I don't know, you leave your car, you just ask yourself, did I lock the car or not? You always lock it and you go back and it's locked, right? In my case, it was not that friendly. So I arrived home, and when I entered the bathroom, there were 4 degrees more than usual, and the mirror was just heated up badly. So I asked myself, how can I do for this to not happen again? So my name is Toni. I'm working for Yonder for about 8 years now. I'm a technical lead. I work with a couple of technologies, back-end, front-end, mostly using Python, but I also have some experience in Android applications, mobile applications, hybrid ones with Java and Kotlin, Ionic. I'm really passionate about IoT and sensors and smart home, and basically that's why you see this presentation now. Also, I'm a music lover, so I play bass guitar, I play piano. So while I will hold the demo, if something happens and it doesn't work, I will probably just play something for you. Now, you know a few things about me, so I think we can get further with the presentation. This talk is intended to everyone. It doesn't matter if you're technical or not. Of course, there will be a few technical aspects inside the presentation, but there are also a lot of stuff that you should keep in mind, even if you're technical or not, while trying to design your home. But before getting into the smart stuff and fun stuff of the presentation, let's take a step and look through some questions or scenarios that you should keep in mind, and we'll take them one by one and discuss them and see what we can do to get more information and take the right decisions for our home. So the market is full of devices. You can go on the market and find hundreds of them, IoT devices, LED strips, lights, temperature sensors, you name it. There are a lot of them. So how you are going to to choose it. Let's say you buy a couple of LED strips, you buy a few temperature sensors. They have, each of them has their own application. You have to take the time to set up it. You have to do a lot of scenarios there. How do you connect them? How do you control them? Do you have enough power outlets? Because fast forward a few months of starting your home automation, probably you will have a couple of devices. So if you run out of power outlets and you don't have where to power on your hair straightener, that would be a problem. Let's say that you want to make your curtains automated when you get up in the morning to receive the sunlight directly, scheduled. Do you have to break all the walls for that? You know that the curtains, everything that has a motor needs power over wires most of the time. So you will have to have on all your windows some power lines in order to make sure that you can automate that. This can be a challenge as well. We will take it later on the presentation. The security and privacy is really important as well, and we'll tackle that. Now, if you have, I don't know, ceiling light, which has around 6-7 light bulbs, and you have that in each room on your house, and you plan on just buying Philips Hues, they are $15-20 one, pretty expensive. The price can be a concern in this scenario as well. So, as I discussed before, this is how your house probably would look like if you buy everything that you find on the market. Have a lot of wires, a lot of hubs. You know that in order to control a device, you actually need to communicate with it. And the devices, the problem with them is that they use different protocols of communication. So Wi-Fi, Zigbee, Z-Wave, Bluetooth, you name it, there are a lot of them. So you have to have something in order to make sure that you can handle all of them. It can get pretty complicated on the configuration and setup. Let's take an example, Philips Hue, as I mentioned it before. They run over Bluetooth if you want to connect to them directly, but you probably saw that they have also the Philips Hue hubs. Now, if we go on this scenario and you have a Philips Hue hub, it will communicate through Zigbee, all the lights to the hub, and then you will communicate through Wi-Fi and HTTP from your mobile application, Philips Hue, to the hub, and the hub will send a message back to the light bulbs, to the sensors, and so on. That is an option. But if you have more than Philips and you have different kinds of devices on your home, probably you'll need multiple hubs, multiple applications. There are different protocols for them. Also on the cloud-based solutions, if you don't have internet and they have to communicate with the cloud, there can be an issue as well. So there are solutions for making yourself and your life easier when you build your home solution, home automated solution. So one of the most popular systems is KNX. This one is pretty expensive. It's out of the box. So you can basically configure everything that you need on a home. You probably need to contract a company that does these services. A lot of them use wires. You probably need to break your walls and design the home from the beginning with this technology in mind. So if your house is already finished, and you just want to make it smart, these types of solutions can be pretty expensive. Even the solution itself goes over $10,000, if not more, depending on what you need to automate on your home. Plus the reparations on the walls and all these the fixes that you will need to do. So there were companies that actually took this challenge and they created devices born to retrofit. So in today, of course, there are a lot of devices and a lot of companies that do this. Some of them are really well known. Some of them are not that common. But I will tell you what I used on my home, and we'll take them one by one. As first example is the Shelly. Shelly, it's a company that builds smart devices born to retrofit. As in these examples, you see these types of devices are actually relays. You can look at them as digital switches. So basically, they run over Wi-Fi. You can control them, and they are just triggers: turn on, turn off. The power is on, the power is off. You can actually put them behind your switch outlets, so you can just put them in the wall in the existing sockets that you have, so you'll not have issues of breaking the walls in order to accomplish this. Of course, please contract an electrician, because there are high voltages here. I don't want any of you to get hurt. And with this one, it actually solves the issue with the pricing as well, since a relay costs around $15, something similar to one Philips Hue light bulb. But you can control the entire ceiling light, so all the 6 light bulbs, if you don't want RGB lights. So in this scenario, it can get better. For the curtains perspective, you can see the SwitchBot. SwitchBot is a similar company that that build products born to retrofit. So basically, they have multiple products. I will discuss with you about a few of them. But the main one that I'm interested in is the curtains. So there are just some motors that you can actually put over your curtains, and you can control them via Bluetooth or through their hub. You can schedule them, and the curtains will open automatically without needing you to break the walls and add power wires over them. So that being said, let's get to know Shelly a bit. This is what I used on my home, most of their products, since what I really liked about them is that they are not cloud-based. So I can use them offline. They don't communicate with the cloud if you don't want to. So you can control them inside your local network. We'll discuss about that a bit later. So I told you already about the Shelly relays. So these are the most common products with which you can turn on, turn off a circuit. They also have consumption meters. So they just have a coil that you put it over the main wire of electricity in your electricity panel. They have also switches with dimmers. So basically, you can control the intensity of the light with them. Also, the RGB controllers for the LED strips in order to power them, and also change the colors and the effects over them. Humidity and temperature. These are battery-based, but you can also connect them to USB Type-C. And as I mentioned a few times about hair straightener, here's a fix for that. This is a relay, but it's a plug-in one, so you can connect your hair straightener directly into this, and you can control it if you don't want to add relays over your power outlets. So let's say you have only a few cases in your home when you need to control a specific device to power it on or power it off. You can use these relays. Also, if you have radiators in home and you want to control the temperature, it would be easier if you have Shelly TRV. These actually have some temperature sensors. You can just set the temperature there, and it will let more or less water into the radiator in order to keep a constant temperature. They also have smoke detectors, gas detectors, water detectors, and so on. There are a lot of devices here. The next one is the SwitchBot, which they have a lot of products. Basically, they also have smart buttons. They have temperature sensors, as Shelly do, but their main product is the curtain ones. They have it for different types of curtains. I used this specific one for the grommet curtains. It can get a bit challenging, since even if you drag them by hand, they can stick to that bar, and it will not go further. So they have some sort of strip that you can plug to the curtain in order to drag it constantly. It comes within the kit. They also have solar panels for them. They are battery based. You can recharge them, or if you have enough light, you can use the solar panel as well with them. So now let me take you through a few examples with the Shelly devices in my home. So this is my bedroom. So I just added for the switches a relay here in order to power the light bulbs. So as you see, it's pretty straightforward. You connect a few wires with the help of an electrician. And it just goes up. You configure it through Wi-Fi or through Bluetooth, and then it will be on your local network, and you can use the Shelly application or an application that I will show you a bit later. The next one is the fancy LED strips, which I installed in the living. So this is how the circuit looks like. Initially, I just added them and powered them up. They didn't work. That's because they didn't have an amplifier. The problem is that I had 16 meters of LED strips. So in order for the signal to go through all of it, it has to be amplified through this LED amplifier. As you can see here, I have the Shelly RGB connected just above the power source, with which I can actually choose the color and turn on or off the power source for the LED strips. The next one is the stairs. So I wanted for each stair to have separate lighting. So I have two sensors, one on the bottom of the stair and one on the top. And actually, it will just detect when you pass over it. So when you're on the bottom, it will just power up, and individually it will open the LEDs over them. Now. I bought normal LED strips, so I just put it on the stairs, and a controller, which actually controls the sensors and the LED strips. Now they are only running when you are stepping over. So when it detects you, it will power up and go further with them. But what if you want to actually keep them open? Let's say you have a fancy dinner and want to have a nice lighting on the stairs as well. So in that scenario, what I did, I saw on the documentation of the microcontroller that it has two pins, in which if you short circuit them or just connect them between, it will bypass the sensors and will keep the lighting on the stairs. So what I did with the help of Shelly, I just created a digital switch between those two pins. So I can, from my phone, being able to say, connect those two pins, and it will actually turn on and keep the lights on, also for switching off as well. Now, as I said that you probably have multiple applications on your phone. And even if you want to, I don't know, turn off a light, you have to search what was the application that I used for the kitchen, that I used for the bathroom, whatever it was. Until you find it, you just go and turn it off by your hand. So there is one application to rule them all. There are multiple of them, but this is the first one that I used, and I think it's a great solution, and I tell you why. It's called Home Assistant. So it's open source, is written in my favorite language, Python. It has hundreds of different integrations in place. You can integrate the Philips, you can integrate Shelly, Switchbot, you name it. Most of the known solutions on the market are easily configurable just by clicks. It's a full smart solution. So if you want scenes or integrations, like when you open your door, you want all the lights to turn on, maybe the TV, maybe the heating system, or whatever, you can create them just by clicks inside the application as well. So it's a really big community. There is a backing company for it, which is called Nabukasa. I will tell you about it a bit later. They send continuous updates, security patches, I think once a month or something like this. It's highly customizable. Basically, you are able to customize it using YAML files, so also Python scripts. If you have a device that is not yet integrated, you can write your own integration if you are a more technical person, and add it in the community as well. So from the setup perspective, it runs everywhere. So it's cross-platform. You can install it on a Raspberry Pi on your home, on an Android, on Tinkerboard, Windows, Linux, whatever it is. Just you have to make sure that it runs continuously. So if you put it on your laptop, you will not be able to control your home if your laptop is turned off. So it runs over Docker. That means that you can really set up it everywhere. Normally, the people just use Raspberry Pis or some cheap computers that can run the system, and it's connected automatically in your home network. From there, it can detect automatically the devices and the integrations that you'll need to set up, or you can just manually click and find the integration. As you see here, it has around 2,000 integrations already. You can see big names here for most of the things that you'll probably need. So hopefully you'll just give it a look. I left the link here in the bottom screen, so you can take a look over it. So this is an example of how my home looks like. I just created these images with floorplanner.com. So it's a platform online in which you can just draw walls and things like that and put textures over them, in order to be more friendly as a user interface, because previously you have just things like this. So you have switches that you can turn off. You see the main light is turned on. You see it here as well. There are a lot of interesting stuff I will show you on the demo, but mainly this is how I try to integrate it. There are also temperature sensors here. Oops, sorry. There are also temperature sensors and humidity sensors. So yeah, you can configure it using YAMLs to say exactly where this icon with a light bulb should be placed over the image, and what entity or device should it use in order to trigger the lights. Now, a really important part, it's also the network and security. So basically, if you have a lot of devices, you have to make sure that your network supports them if they run over Wi-Fi. So basically, how I did it on my home is not the only way to do it. This is just how I choose to do it. The Home Assistant runs on a Raspberry Pi, which is connected to my router. Also, I have a switch which runs with power over Ethernet. So basically the access points, which will actually facilitate the Wi-Fi communication, they are just connected through an internet cable, which also powers them up. That's really important when you look to build your home, since you probably have cables on every room and also to the access points. An access point can actually have go with 20, 30 devices at a time. So if you just have a normal router at home and you have 50 devices, that can be challenging. So depending on how big is your home, I would look on the access points solution as well. For the network, it's really important to have a guest one. Let's say that you have a barbecue party. So you invite your friends, you're outside, and they ask you for your network password. Now, just to give you a random example, I would be concerned if the tech board from Yonder would come on my home to make a barbecue party, and they ask me for the password. Probably I will not give it to them, since they have a tendency to look over the security stuff. But you can set up a guest network, which is totally isolated from your main network. I really recommend that, and keep the main network just for yourself and the devices. As a next step, if you want, you can create an IoT network in which all the smart devices are connected, just to isolate it from the one that you use regularly for internet. And you will have a point of communication between them in order to control all the sensors from the IoT network. Now, if you are outside, let's say in a different town, and you want to control your home, you have to access the Home Assistant from the Raspberry Pi, right? It's not a good practice to have the routers, the ports exposed on your home to do that. So there are solutions like VPN. So you can configure a VPN on a VPN server on your network and connect from your phone. Connect from your phone with the VPN in order to access the Raspberry Pi. There are also easier solutions. There is Nabukasa, the company that I told that owns Home Assistant. By the way, it's a free solution, don't have to pay about it. But on the Nabukasa, they have something that you have to pay if you don't want to create the VPN connections. They offer you a proxy in which the Raspberry Pi communicates with the cloud, and then you communicate with it as well in order to control the devices from your home. So basically, this is how it's secure, because it's not as secure with the as the VPN, but you don't have ports exposed. So only the Raspberry Pi will ask for information, not the cloud itself. So it will be a communication from the Raspberry Pi to the Nabukasa servers. So you receive just a unique URL with password, with user. You can authenticate also with two-factor authentication over it, so you will be pretty safe. Now that we talked about the security and the network, I think a really important part is also the physical security system. So let's say that you don't have internet, and someone wants to break into your home. The good part with Ajax, the system that I used myself, is that it has also a SIM card inside. So even if you don't have internet, it will communicate with the security company, so they can come if something happen. Now, they all run over batteries. You can have the wire version as well, but the batteries, I think the ones with the batteries are better, since they can run up to 5-7 years, they say. I'm in the second year now, and they're still running just fine. Just the hub that connects all of them it runs over the power, and if the power is out, it can go only for 6 hours, but still it's a good point to have. So let's say that your internet is down, your power source is down, but your physical security system is still up and running, so your home it's safe from that perspective. Now, if we talk about offline support, it's really important for your home to be analog as well. So keep that in mind when you build it. As I gave you the example with a grandmother that come into your home and try to use some devices, and they are in English. My grandmother speaks Romanian, pretty complicated, right? So make sure that you let on the wall your power switches, your light switches and everything, just to have them analog as well. For example, my LED strips did not have any buttons, so you could only power them up by phone. So my parents come into my home, and actually they wanted to turn on the LED strips and they could not. So in that scenario, I just added a wireless button from Shelly, and if you click it, it will just turn on the LED strip as you would do by phone, but it's still analog, it's on the wall, you can see it, you can use it. So I think this is a really important step to go with. Now, if the Murphy law allows us, I will show you an example of how I did it on my home. So as you saw in the previous picture, this is mainly the dashboard. You can customize it however you want. This is a floor that I'm on now. So if I hit on this light, you will see on my video that it's turned on. Also, the fancy LEDs from behind the triangles, I can turn them off, turn them on. I can even change the color if I want, and all this stuff are already configured. So all these interfaces, you just have to select the type of the integration that you need and the IP of the device or the device itself, and it will just run fine. So just a simple example of how you can configure them. This is how the YAML file look like. So if I want for this light bulb to be at 40%, you will see that it went down actually, right? If I put it back to 25%, it will go back where it should be. So basically, this is how you can configure it. It's just say toggle, you specify the entity and the icon that you want to use, and that's most of it. If you want to add a new integration, you just go to settings, devices, add integration, and it will you can just search for it and click it, add the IPs or Shelly. For example, it will just specify to give you the IP, or if it's already on the network, it will display like this just to configure it, and it will work fine. So those were some examples. Now, if you have any questions, I will be glad to ask you to respond to them. Also, you have on the first slide my email address. There you can send me, or LinkedIn, you can send me whatever questions or interest points that you have. The video will be on YouTube as well, so if you need it, just look there in a couple of days. So, do we have any questions here? I see one from Razvan. If you go back in time and be able to start the process of automating your house from scratch, what would you do differently? Now, this is an open question. I would do a few things differently. Initially, as I told you the examples with my parents that came and they could not open the LED strips. I will have in mind the analogic part. Initially, I didn't begin with this thought, and a few of the devices and lights they didn't actually have the switches for sure. So now I would most probably go and add specific switches to those. Also, I started when I designed the house. The interior part was not already done, so I would have probably add more internet cables outside, for example, because I don't have cameras right now, and if you want to go with IP cameras, you have to need to use the cables on that. Also, I would keep in mind the devices that have that go through Zigbee, since even on the Philips Hue you have those hubs, but there are also USB sticks that USB drives that actually work with Zigbee to MQTT, so you can actually connect them to your Raspberry Pi and bypass the Philips Hue bridge if you want. So with that, you can actually integrate different devices that runs over Zigbee, and also Zigbee is a different protocol than Wi-Fi. It runs over different frequencies, so it will not pollute your internet speed and stuff. But yeah, those are a few things that I will look about integrating multiple configuration or multiple protocols for it. Hope I asked your question. So I have another question for Katalin. What is the smartest thing that you have in your home? Oh, well, that really depends. So I have a dishwasher. It's from Bosch, and I actually integrated successfully just by clicks with the Home Assistant. And I can actually specify turn on the light on my bedroom when the dishes are washed. So basically, I could go and take them from the wash machine. But mostly the scenarios. So if you, for example, have Christmas trees, you want them to be turned on at night. So I actually just made a schedule for that. So basically, those are the smart things that I did. They are mostly integrations and flows through them. But as you saw in the examples, I have some little geeky stuff that I did on the stairs with that open part, with that light that has to be open. Another question is, if you install yourself the security system, will you be able to use it in a legal matter? Yes. So you can buy this system from from online shops or whatever you find it. Just that you don't have the security company that will come to intervention if something happens, but you can receive the notifications on their app. You can integrate it with Home Assistant as well and use it for this purpose. So basically, you can create your own security system, but you're responsible to go back to the home if something happens. So they are not backed up by someone. Okay. George, what's an estimate cost for the entire project? That's a good question. So basically, if we take the switch boards in consideration, the Shelly relays and smart devices, also the network that I used running by Ubiquiti, I probably spent between 2,000 and 3,000 euros. But it really depends on what you need to do. So the network was pretty expensive. It doesn't have to be on this type. This is just my preference to use Ubiquiti products, but there are way cheaper products that do the same thing and you can use them there. You just have to research it a bit. So basically, the cost can be even smaller on this scenario compared to out-of-the-box system that can cost way more if you want it. Let's see another question for Svan. Do you recommend any online store from where we can buy the gadgets you've shown us? Now, I think it really depends from where you are from. If you're from Romania, there are multiple stores for me. There is Case360, for example, this is a site from Cluj, actually, from where you can buy. I usually buy them from the companies directly. So Shelly, it's the Bulgarian company, so you can actually buy from their site, and the products, it's a bit cheaper as well than in Romania, and the products arrive in around a week. Usually I just search it by Google as you do. I try to buy them from the company most of the time, but if I'm not, I'm searching for the specific home automation sites like Case360 or Răbătoare Tactile. I just say it in Romanian because they are Romanian sites. Or for the other countries, I saw a lot of the products on Amazon, so probably you can safely buy them from there as well. What is the best place to provide the hardware? Yeah, so that's I think is the same question, if I'm not wrong, as the previous one. So yeah, just go on the known companies that are doing that, or try to contact the products company, and if they don't sell it or they don't deliver to Romania or your country, they will just get your direction to your local supplier or something like that. So I think these were all the questions. Do you have any other questions? Or if you're interested in someone else, if not, I told you can contact me and we can discuss more things about it. If you're interested to create your own project, or you're just curious about the technology, just write me and we can discuss more. But as takeaways, meanwhile, if we don't have any other questions, as takeaways, I would like you to focus on the part with the simplicity. So just have the home smart but simple enough to use by everyone as code, you know. So if a junior cannot read your code, probably you did something wrong. That should be the same principle in your home. So it should be usable by everyone, secure enough, but also comply with your needs from the smart perspective. So I see that there are no other questions. So I think we will end the webinar here. Thank you all for attending. I hope it was a good experience for you and you learned something from it. You will find the video on YouTube. Contact me if you need any advice or you're interested in it, and see you later. Have a good one. Bye.